and welcome to our first I Am Fun Size post I Am Fun Size Kickstarter with our first special guest of the Kickstarter campaign, Owynn Boots Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being such an incredible, generous friend to begin with, but also so generous on the Kickstarter to help us out. Boots was the whole reason. Boots was the person that put us over funding in that first 3 days. He was the one who knocked us right over the edge there. And it was very exciting, and thank you for doing that. But also, you are a dear friend. Many of you know him online as Booty Farts 22.
That is me.
This is the famous Booty Farts 22.
And I swear, if I'm acting just a little weird, it's because I'm not used to being on camera, but as this goes on, I'm definitely going to loosen up a bit.
Yeah, you're so adorable. He's so adorable. I can't even. Before we go on, just a couple of announcements. Announcement number 1 is that the pre-order store on BackerKit is still up for the I Am Fun Size book. You can get the ebook, you can get the book itself, you can get the audiobook, you can get stickers, you can get bookmarks, you can get signed prints. So many cool things. Really, really cool stuff available there. So check it out at the link down there, because I am blanking on what the actual link is because I'm bad at marketing. But second announcement I want to make is about this incredibly adorable ice dyed shirt. It's not a tie-dye shirt, it's an ice dyed shirt. And this was made by I'm going to model it like this because, woo, this is me without a head, you guys. This was made by the incredibly sweet and adorable and highly talented Justine Huxley, who many of you know as Watson from Apex Legends. I almost said Watson from Rampart Legends. And that's a little too self-centered, I think, for me to say. But yes, she has this wonderful shop, Arctic Rainbow Shop. You can find it at Arctic Rainbow Shop on Instagram. And she makes custom socks and sweatshirts and shirts. And she did a silk robe for someone, all sorts of really, really cool things. I know, fancy pants, right? A little kimono situation. She's very, very talented and very, very sweet. And you can absolutely go to her shop and order things, and you will be very, very happy, as am I. These are in Rampart's Season 6 colors, which I'm very grateful for. They're very bright and happy. And I wanted to wear it today because I'm feeling bright and happy because you're here. Boom, I'm just going to keep doing this. Like we're brother and sister.
Because I want to do it to you, but I feel like I'm going to push you to the other end.
I'm going to go.
It's like,
That's hilarious. Okay, very serious business now. We are beginning what I'm going to call the new season of I Am Fun Size, even though we don't work in seasons, because it's been a minute as we ran the Kickstarter, and one of the tiers of the Kickstarter involved getting to come on I Am Fun Size and have a chat about whatever issues anyone wanted to talk about, and Owynn is our first victim for said
I am the first, yeah.
for said I Am Fun Size. Mm-hmm. So, my dear, and we're doing this in my house because Owen's a friend. That's not for everyone, okay? I'm sorry, guys. I can't offer that to every single backer. But Owynn, what did you want to talk about today that might be something that other people at home might be able to benefit from? First of all, before you continue that strange sound that you just heard was little Charlie dog. Come on up, buddy. Up. Let's go. And here he comes. He just wanted to hang out with Owynn. So he wants to help because it's an I Am Fun Size thing too. He's going to lick Owynn to death, and Owynn is going to be very uncomfortable.
He's already gotten me. Look,
okay. There he goes. And there it's happening. Okay, buddy. Good. Okay. Come on. Come here. Oh, you're going to be right in the middle. There we go. Okay, so take 2. Owynn.
Yes.
What is the topic of today's I Am Fun Size?
So let's see. I have this thing going on in my life. I have a job where I am away from home for long periods of time without a lot of access to things like the internet and such. And because of that, I deal with a sort of unique situation where my life is on hold for a while the lives of everyone else keeps on moving. So when I come back and return to society, more or less, it's sometimes hard to adjust because you feel stuck or you feel behind, but not so much because of choices that you've made, but because of the circumstances you're in. So I guess I want to talk about dealing with situations that you can't really change. Situations that you're in where your only option is to really get through it, see it to the other end, because there's nothing else you can really do about it.
Sure. Well, I feel like there are so many interesting things that I have to ask about that situation. First of all, do you feel like it's so much about something that you can't change that you have to endure, or something that you can't change because you made a choice, and by making this choice, you can't have the other things? Because that right there is one of the pesky things about living in a normal linear time world. And I say pesky, I'm not saying that like sarcastically. I get frustrated with this all the time. And it's unfortunately one of the realities of living in a world where we haven't yet figured out time travel, and we haven't yet figured out the quantum physics to be in two places at once. Being
able to go back and make a different choice, try this one, see what happens.
So this is something that I actually struggle with as well, even though I don't find myself in exactly the same circumstances as you do. But inevitably, one of the challenging things about making any choice in life is that when you choose one thing, you don't choose the other.
Yes.
You don't choose to either be in another place, or get to do another job, or get to experience another thing that would be happening at the same time. No matter where we are, there is somewhere that we are not.
True.
And that is it sounds so simple, but it is such a tricky thing for us to navigate in the world because of that pesky fucker FOMO. You know, that feeling of, oh, I'm missing out on something. Oh, I'm not doing something that I should be doing. And I experience this very, very regularly. You know, social media contributes so much to it too. So at least when you are away, you're not necessarily scrolling through Instagram in your free time and seeing all of the things that everybody else is doing, which is a blessing. And I do think that that's one way that people who are feeling either like they're, you know, they lost their seat at the table, or they aren't invited to the party that everyone else is invited to in the grand scheme of things. That's one way to keep from feeling that way. In my opinion, is to just get away from social media and be where you are.
Yes, because social media is definitely a highlight reel of people's lives. People aren't always necessarily posting their failures or times where things went poorly,
or their struggles, whatnot.
But
also, it's not just that it's a highlight reel, and it's not just that it's curated, that social media is curated. But I don't think I mean, back in my day, before we had social media, you didn't necessarily know what everybody else was doing, because you were doing what you were doing, and the only people you knew were doing other things. Were the people you spoke to, were the people that you talked to on the phone, were the people that you knew ahead of time were going to be somewhere else, you know. So it was a little bit easier to be present, you know. And I'm not saying social media is the devil, and I'm not saying, you know, everybody get off social media immediately, because I know that for most of us that's not a practical option. For some people it absolutely is, and I kudos to them, because that is absolutely a choice that anyone can make and anyone is free to make. And I know many people who've done that very happily, but I know for me, I don't know that I can do that. So what do you do in order to find your way to be present where you are? One of my favorite ways to counter that FOMO, or that feeling of I should be somewhere else. Now you've got me self-conscious. You were self-conscious before. Now I'm like, do I have something in my nose? One way that I have found to counter that is to be very clear about my why. About why have I chosen to be where I am? Why am I doing the thing that I'm doing right now? Why am I, even the smallest tasks, if I'm finding that I am having a hard time feeling grateful for where I am and thinking so much about where I'm not, a lot of times focusing on the why I am where I am, and why that's a good thing, even if it's not somewhere I chose to be. Charlie is trying so hard. Don't wipe out, dude. Nobody. No. Yeah, see, you can't tempt him like that. You can't tempt him like that and not expect him to go for the nose. but really getting in touch with the reason why you are where you are and why that might be a good thing. What opportunities you do have where you are. What things that experience might give you in the future. Now, sometimes your circumstances suck, and sometimes you are sick and that's why you're missing something, or sometimes you're injured and that's why you're missing something. Even then, I think it's not like, well, let me look at the positive, but it is the why could this be good? Why in some universe, why is this the absolute right thing?
I think I know you've definitely told me in the past, because we've talked about something similar to this before, about your journey being your journey and yours alone. And just because yours isn't the same as someone else's doesn't mean that you won't necessarily end up at the destination you're trying to reach.
Absolutely. And again, this is something that is easy to say. This is not something that is necessarily easy to put in practice. And I know this because I've been struggling with this tremendously this year. From the outside, I'll be transparent here. From the outside, my life looks amazing. And I know on paper my life looks amazing. But it's very easy in my own head, if left to my own devices, and if I'm not careful about what thoughts I allow in there, it's very easy for me to see any one of my amazing, my friends.
Yes.
We've got some incredible human beings doing incredible things in our social circle. And it's very easy to look around and be like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing good enough because look at what so-and-so is doing. Oh, I'm not in the right place because so-and-so is there. And it's in the book where I talk about one particular moment I had a bit of FOMO about being in the wrong place, and it was so ridiculous that it snapped me out. And you're gonna have to read the book and find out what that is. But when your circumstances are not great, figuring out what could the universe be telling me, or why could God, that's one way that some people are able to connect to that in themselves. But for yourself, what purpose can you give to where you are? How can you make what you are experiencing a deposit into the bank of my life is awesome, instead of a deposit into the bank of my life sucks?
Yes. How can I would say, how can I make best of the road that I am on?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. How can you make best of the road that you are on? And especially knowing that you are a person who is very generous, both of spirit and of resources.
I try my
best. How is this going to be better for me to be of service in the future? Because I know personally, when you go away to work, you are doing things and learning things that serve other people.
Yes.
And that is a huge thing. When we're feeling like, I don't get but what about me? What about the benefit to me? When you can really see the difference you're making in other people's lives, some of that worrying about yourself tends to fade away. So when you come back now, let's go back to what you were talking about in the beginning though. When you come back and you feel like, life has gone on without me and I have to play a game of catch up. All of those people have to catch up to your experiences, because you have had 6 months, 8 months of experiences that they will never have.
That is true.
And what could those experiences have been? I know, again, a lot of what you do involves travel. You've gone to places and been in places and experienced cultures that other people have not been able to experience.
That is true. I don't know how I didn't think of that before.
Well, because it's so easy
taking the positives of the things that I've done, it's like, okay, maybe it sucked in the moment, but then later on it's like, because I had that experience.
Yeah, it's all, yes, and this is what's really cool about it. Do you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to know about this, do you remember string art?
No.
Okay, so there's this thing called string art where you would literally have nails in a board and you would put various colors strings in.
I do know of that. I just didn't call it string art.
Well, I don't know if it's only called string art. We had string art kits when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And what I have learned is that I might not see it in the moment, but at some point or another, I know I can look back and connect the string art that got me to certain wonderful experiences in my life. I had a terrible experience here, but look, if that hadn't happened, then this amazing thing wouldn't have happened.
I definitely have those where it's like, hey, if this moment in my life was terrible, but because that happened, I'm now somewhere that I would have never, ever guessed. that I'd be before.
Exactly. And I think that goes to, that speaks to the experiences that we carry with us too. If I hadn't had XYZ experience, I wouldn't be carrying forth the knowledge, the compassion, the wisdom, the whatever you got out of that experience. We have a friend, our friend Craig Cady says, experience is what you get when you don't get what you wanted. You do get experience. Yeah. And so whatever that experience has given you is now a part of you. It is embedded in your soul, and you are going to carry that forward. You are going to be able to give the pain a purpose, as I mentioned in one of the previous episodes of this, even if that purpose is just to have compassion to someone else who maybe is going through something similar, and now you understand it and you can be their flashlight through that dark time. Also, when you come back and everybody else has been kind of caught up in the rat race, I feel like this is one thing that you can carry with you as solace, possibly, is that a lot of times everybody is so caught up in the minutia of things. And I very much do this. I get caught up in the day-to-day, and I'm doing this like a hamster because I feel like it's a hamster wheel, right? We get caught up in this, and when I go away, for work, for whatever, I go away and make myself sit in a hotel room to write for 4 days or whatever so that I can get this book done or anything like that. When I come back, I always have a fresh perspective that I didn't have when I was in the middle of this.
So you use that time to decompress, rearrange, reevaluate,
reassess,
plan out.
Yeah,
yes.
But also just like adjust your antenna, because sometimes I think, well, I know this scientifically, that our reticular activating system, which is a part of our brain, it's the part of our brain that basically decides what is important information, what is important that our senses are taking in, that we need to take in, and basically you don't see the rest.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard
I think I have heard about
yeah,
this.
and you've heard things where they do studies where someone's watching a video and they ask you like how many jumps did this person make, and then like there's like a gorilla walking in and you don't see the gorilla, right? So stuff like that, and you don't even see it because you're so focused on that, because you have deemed that important. You have deemed that focus important. When I am home, when I am in my normal environment, no matter how much I love my home, and it's a beautiful home and it's full of love and we've got things around that remind me of wonderful things, I'm also constantly reminded of the life that I know. I am constantly reminded of the things I have to do, the mess I need to clean up, the thing I need to organize, the to-do list, the this, the that. When I step away, even go outside for a hike, go outside for a walk, when I step away from that energy, it enables my reticular activating system to focus on, okay, what's important now when I don't see all the traffic in my brain, when I don't see all this stuff. The Charlie dog lying on the couch is really cute, so I always want to see that. But when I don't see the distractions, what is important? And that's when you can get great ideas. That's when I find inspiration happens. I get most in touch with my spiritual core. And so being away from what you know, I think definitely helps have that kind of inspiration. And since I also know you...
There are some things that I definitely do when I'm away that I don't do when I'm here. And I do notice that.
Yeah. Are they practices that you would like to embed in your day-to-day life when
Definitely,
you're back?
actually.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put a little bit more effort into making sure that happens this time.
I love that. And then you can come back with a fresh perspective on this new habit. I think it's one of the reasons that, people go away to like ashrams or go away on these health trips or whatever. You get in the habits somewhere that is not normal to you, where all of those things that cue you normally to do the unhealthy things or make the not great choices, all of those things are gone. And you are in this different place where you can start to embed new habits in you. And then you can bring them back to that life where you feel like everybody's moved on, but you have a new set of habits, so you've grown too. Because you're growing simultaneously. Everybody may be doing things that you wish you were able to do, but you are growing at the same time as they are. Your time didn't stop. So those are just some of my thoughts on that.
I want to say that I'm glad you've given me this new perspective.
Now we're going to do it again. We're going to do this game again. I'm stronger than I look.
Why? She is definitely.
It's so strong. There's 98 pounds of sheer muscle. But I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you again thank you for being vulnerable and asking that question. Because normally people have to do it.
Definitely a huge part of my life because, it's my job and that's a huge part of your life.
Right. So. And I also know you aspire to be an artist. You aspire to be a voice artist and among other things. And I say aspire, you're already doing it. So I shouldn't say aspire, you're doing it.
That is true, yes.
But any experience in your life, any experience will go into the building of yourself as an artist. And that's one of the wonderful things about being in a field where your job is to express the human experience, is that your job is to research the human experience to then go express it.
It really is, because whenever I have to play like an angry role or say something mean to someone, it's hard for me because I don't
you're
like
too
being
sweet.
mean. But then I just draw from those experiences at my job. It's like, oh, here's this person I work for that I don't like working for, and here is how I would say the things that I wish I could say. I'm gonna take those out.
I'm gonna put that here.
Sprinkle them on this. And we're gonna let it fly.
I love that. I'm gonna sprinkle it on this.
Just a little bit. Don't add too much.
You said, sprinkle it on this. I love it. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming up to do this. I'm so happy you're in my life and in our lives. Everybody, find Booty Farts 22, who I can't say his name regularly. That's why I call him Boots.
I can't either.
Find Boots on the internet. Follow him places. He is one of the finest members of our community, of our gaming community, of our streaming community. He helps me and Carolina with our Twitch streams. He does so much good in the world, and he does so. I mean, like in our world and in the world, I should say, not just in Twitch is nothing.
You give me way too much credit.
No, I didn't make the news. I'm just reporting it as I was once told by Jess Hollermouth. So, all of you guys, if any of you have any more questions for this series, make sure you send me an email with a question at Anjali@IamFunsize.com. If you have any questions about the book, about the I Am Fun Size book, please write to info@AnjaliBhimani.com, and I will talk with you all very soon. And so will Charlie. Bye. Oh, now he's coming for me. Get it.
Well, don't look at me.
All right, you beautiful people, send me your stuff. You can email me at Anjali@IamFunsize.com. These are all of the places you can find me on the interwebs. Please send me questions, pictures, fan art, cosplay pictures. Send me pictures of puppies. You know how I love the puppies. Oh, please, more puppies.
Can I please? Please, guys, please.